Hey guys, this is Amit, and as promised, here I am back again with a new video, and this time we are going to cover what is Selenium, how to configure Selenium, and how to write first test case using Selenium. So let's begin with what is Selenium. Selenium is an open source tool or framework that is used to automate test cases for a web-based application. Selenium WebDriver was created in 2006 when browsers and web applications were becoming more powerful. It was first cross-testing framework that could control the browser from the OS level. Selenium is not just a tool, it's a suite of software components, and its suite consists of Selenium Integrated Development Environment, that is Selenium IDE, Selenium Remote Control, that is Selenium RC, Selenium WebDriver, and Selenium Grid. And in this video we are mainly going to talk about Selenium WebDriver. Since in 2008 the whole Selenium team decided to merge Selenium WebDriver and Selenium RC to form a more powerful tool called as Selenium 2, with WebDriver being the core. So guys, let's move ahead and see what Selenium can do and what it is capable of. In this digital era, testing your software or an application is becoming a necessity rather than requirement. So Selenium is an automated testing framework which can test web pages initiated on various web browsers like Opera, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, IE, and Edge, and on various different operating systems like Mac, Linux, and Windows. In fact, you can also write test scripts in different programming languages like Java, Perl, Python, Ruby, C Sharp, PHP, and JavaScript. Let's move on to the next part of our video, that is Selenium installation. Now, Selenium installation is divided into 3 steps. First one is installing Java, which is the programming language that we are going to use. Second is installing Eclipse IDE, which is used for writing Java programs. And third is Selenium installation or Selenium WebDriver installation. I have already covered the first 2 steps, that is Java installation and Eclipse installation, in my previous videos, for which I have already mentioned the links in the description section for your reference. Will recommend to go through these videos before moving ahead and installing Selenium. Moving ahead, let's see how to install Selenium WebDriver. In order to install Selenium WebDriver, we need to install 2 different components. First one is Selenium client for Java. Second is driver for the browser. In this case, we are going to use Chrome browser. And we need to download both these components from the link that you can see on your screen. I have also copied this link in the description section for your reference. So let's click on this link and see how can we download these components. So once we open this link, you can see there are various links for download and documentation related to Selenium and its components. So if you're working on Selenium, this link acts as Bible for you. So if we scroll down a page a little bit, you can see Selenium client and WebDriver language bindings available for various languages like Ruby, Java, Python. So since we are working on Java, we will download the bindings for Java. The stable version available for Java is 3.1.4. There is also an alpha version as Selenium 4 available for Java, but we'll go with the stable release and click on the download link available over here. So once we click on this, it will start downloading a zip file as Selenium Java 3.1.4. So you can save this file wherever you want to. So for the best interest of the time, I have already downloaded this file. Also, if you remember, as I had mentioned in the previous slide, that there is one more component which we need to install as part of our Selenium installation, that is driver for our browser. So if we scroll down a page a little more, you can see there is a link given for browsers. So if you click on this, it will populate various links for different browsers like Firefox, IE, Safari. Since we are working on Chrome, I'll open the link for Chrome. So we have to click on documentation. As you can see, there is a link given over here to download the current stable release for Chrome driver, that is 83.0.4, and also there is a link for downloading the beta version. So let's click on the stable release. So as you can see, there is link given for downloading Chrome driver for various different platforms like Linux, Mac, and Windows. So you might be wondering that what if we are working on a Windows 64-bit platform. So let me tell you over here. There is only one single Chrome driver for both the Windows platform for 64-bit as well as for 32-bit. So this driver could work on both 32-bit as well as 64-bit platform. So let's click on this. It will start downloading the Chrome driver. So you can save it wherever you want to. And again, for best interest of the time, I have already downloaded this setup. So let's see how the setup looks. So here are both the setups which we just downloaded from the link for Selenium installers. So this is the Selenium WebDriver client. Let's extract this, and this is the Chrome driver for Chrome browser. Let's extract this as well. So these are the two main jars which we need to import while we write our program in Eclipse. Also there are few more jars inside lib folder, so we will import these as well. If you see, this is a single Chrome driver file for which we are going to give the path in our Java program, which we'll see in the video ahead. So guys, as you have seen, we have downloaded all the required files for Selenium. So let's move ahead and go to Eclipse and see how do we configure these files, or how do we configure Selenium WebDriver with Eclipse. Just to remind you again, I have already shared a video on how to install Eclipse and have mentioned the link for the same in the description section. So let's move ahead and create a new project, a Java project. Let's name this as first test case. Now I have selected JDK 14.0.1, which I had installed on my system. So this is the latest Java version available while I am creating this video. So let's click on finish. Let's see, create. So this creates a new Java project for us with the name first test case. So let's delete the module info which is created. So you can see we have created a new Java project with the name first test case. It contains all the Java files as well as a source folder. So we'll now go ahead and add all the required Selenium files. So we'll right click on the project, go to build path and say configure build path. So here you can see under module path it has all the required Java files. Now we'll go to class path and add all the required Selenium jars. So these are the two main files which I had shown earlier. So we'll add these, say apply and close. Then we'll again go to build path, say configure build path and add rest of the jars as well, which are under lib folder. So we'll add these as well and say apply and close. So you can see there is a reference libraries created, and under that you can see all the jars, Selenium jars added. So now we have successfully configured Eclipse to use Selenium in it. Alright, so that brings us to our last section, which is hands-on in a Selenium. So now that Selenium has been configured for Eclipse IDE, how about we automate and test Gmail using Google Chrome? So we'll first go ahead and create a package. Let's right click and say new package. Let's say Selenium demo and click on finish, and go ahead and create a class, new class. Let's say I'll name it as test, and I'll make sure that I include main method in it and say finish. So here is our class. Let's go ahead and write the test case. So as I write the code, I will also be walking you through the same. So now that we are having our Java files here, also the jars that are required for Selenium are present over here. What about the drivers for the browser? So these drivers are one that can instantiate your browser. So we will have to type a command so our drivers are connected to our program. So the command for it is system dot set properties. So we have to provide a key and a value to it, under which we will have to tell about what browser which we are using. In our case it is WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver, and we have to provide it as a string since the arguments which is expected are string. So under value we will mention where it can find the driver, the location of the driver. So in my case it is copied over here. This is the path for the location of the folder. We have to mention the path for the file is chrome driver dot exe. So here we are. So that's it. We have gone ahead and successfully connected the driver to our program. Let's now go ahead and create a reference variable for the interface WebDriver. I will name it as driver and assign it to an object of class Chrome. Now these interfaces and classes are provided to us by Selenium Java files that you can see over here. We just need to import it to a program. So would hover over the error message and we'll get an option to import the interface first. So let's import it. Then we'll go ahead and also import the class as well. So now let's use this driver to call some methods. Let's say if we want to open some URL, so driver dot get is a method which is used to open any URL. Let's say we want to open Gmail, so I have to type URL for Gmail, http://www.gmail.com. Now let's say we want to maximize this window in the browser, so I'll say driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. Now this is the command which is used to maximize the window in our browser. So now let's use our driver and find a web element on our web page. Now what is web element? Any component on a web page is known as web element. Supposing if I open Gmail and I want to type my email ID in this text box. So this text box is nothing but a web element for me. And supposing if I want to click on this next button is nothing but a web element. So let's inspect this text box. Once you inspect this, it will show you a few attributes for this text box. So we are going to use these attributes to locate this element on this web page and type our email ID in the same. So we are going to use attribute identifier ID in this case. So ID is assigned a value as identifier ID, so we are going to use the same attribute. So let's see how we can do it in Eclipse. So we do it by driver dot find element. Now we have to say by what attribute are we going to locate this web element. So we are going to locate it by ID, so by ID, and we have to provide the value of the ID which we saw was identifier.id. Now we have to send our email ID to be written in this text box. We can do it by using a command send keys. So we have to type my email ID. So once I have entered my email ID, I would like to click on the next button. So let's go back and inspect on next button. So it's having an attribute as class. So let's copy this. Since we are going to use attribute class to locate this web element on this page, so let's go back and see how we can do this. So let's use driver dot find element by. Now this time we are going to use class name, so let's paste the class name which we copied. So this time we need to click on next button, so we will use command as click. Here we go. So now that I have automated some of my browser features, so let's move ahead and write a small test case. So let's say I declare a variable with the name act of type string and ask my browser to return title of the web page that we had opened. So we can do this with the command as driver.getTitle, and it will be assigned to the variable that we just declared named as act. And I'll declare one more variable with the name ext of type string and assign the expected title of the web page. It would be Gmail, since we are working on www.gmail.com, as you can see over here. So I'll move ahead and close the browser that we had opened. We can do it by driver.close. After that, let me use string variables and create a test condition. For that, we'll be using if statement. Let's say if act dot equals. Now here we'll be using equals ignore case, since we want to just match the value of the string. So let's say act dot equals ext, then print title matches, else print title mismatches. Let's save this. Now all these actions would be performed very quickly. Since we are executing this first time, we want to have a look how these actions are getting performed. So I'll slow down these steps a bit. So we can do that by writing a command as thread dot sleep. Let's say I slow it down by 2000 milliseconds and say save. So let's execute this program and see how it performs the action. So let's say run. So it invokes the browser and tries to open Gmail. So you can see title as Gmail. Now it maximizes the window and types the email ID, and it closes the browser, and you can see the output in the console as title matches. So as you can see, we have successfully written our first test case using Selenium. So folks, in this video we have covered what is Selenium, how do we configure Selenium, and how do we automate our first test case using Selenium with Java. I hope this gives you a fair bit of overview on how to automate your test cases using Selenium. So this brings us to the end of this video. I hope you would have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like and subscribe. You can comment any of your doubts, we'll reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist. Thank you guys, and do take care of yourself.